Hey guys, so if you're watching this, then that means you've made it through both the save and display functions, and those should be working for you now. And now I'm going to try and explain and show you guys the edit and delete. Once again, I hope I'm actually able to help with this. So the first thing I'm going to point out is you'll notice I have, for the last I've been using the index.html and main.js. But for the edit and delete, I'm actually using a completely brand new HTML page and a separate JavaScript file. This just made it easier for me. I didn't run into any caching problems with this because of that. And you'll also notice what the edit page is. It is almost an exact copy and paste of my original form. Some of the IDs are different, like the IDs for down here are different. You have update dungeon instead of instead of save dungeon, and you have delete dungeon instead of reset form, which isn't working at the moment anyways. The delete dungeon's working, the reset wasn't working. But so really that's the only difference. You have edit dungeon form, but most of these are the exact same IDs even. You will notice to go to a different page, like for my footer, I have it as like index.html #browse. I believe you have to do that in order for it to go to another thing. And although the person doing the videos for the class said to not have your stuff that's in your other HTML file here, I have kept it in there, and it works better that way. Like, I was having problems with my jQuery not loading it all whenever I had it as just a plain HTML, so I put all this stuff in and it works again. So let's actually start on the code. So here, edit dungeon.live, edit dungeon. And I'm going to try to explain this stuff. If you need any help on it, besides another video you can go to is Jay's videos. This is almost exactly set up the same. I mean, the way mine edits is a little different, but because this is actually in page, but the way he passes the stuff around is pretty much the same and might actually be easier to follow because I believe he has the numbers on the side. So you have you're first making a I believe it's an object up here, dungeon ID, right? And then you have var set object, function, just console.log, and it's just saying object is object. And then right here you're putting in the ID and the rev. This is important. In order to edit and delete, you need to have your ID and rev. And then I just have a console log right here saying dungeon ID. Alrighty. And then you have the function split URL. I'm just kind of going down the list. This isn't exactly in order of how it works, but this is just, as it says, document.url, and this is saying what the URL is at the moment. And then right here, you're defining, wherever it's split, which is at the question marks, as the URL parts. Your vowels are, URL parts, then 1, so the actual piece of data, and then split at the and signs, ampersands. And then ID vowels is an object. And so here you have a for loop that's just saying for your, key value equals your URL vowels, which are right here, I split at the equal signs, key decode URI component. I believe that's actually built into JavaScript to help decode all this stuff. Key value 0, key value 1. I don't really know how to explain this very well. Once again, Jay's definitely does a better job at explaining this stuff than I can off the top of my head. And then ID vowels key equals value. And so this is just pumping all of this stuff into your object array thingy there. And then it's just console log, it's just saying the URL has been split, and then it's console logging the actual key, and then it's returning it so that you can access it later. And here's whenever you start getting it kind of weird. So this is the function. Dungeon to change equals that function. So whenever you're using the dungeon to change, it's going to call this function. And you know, it starts passing stuff around crazy here. So this is where it loads your data in, right? As it says, load data, and it's just saying my dungeon, and my dungeon is just what it's using here. So it does dungeon in view, which that's a new variable, and it gets set down here in the success function through you know, CouchDB that's saying open the document my dungeon. Dungeon in view is just the data, so it's set object data. You know, it's, and then you're just stating what is in here. And then right here, it's just kind of setting the stuff to it, actually creating the stuff. This is very similar to the save function, I believe, over here. Let me find it for you. Where is it? I can't find it. Oh well. But okay, let's go back in. But basically, this is just loading your data into the thing. This isn't actually going to make it editable yet, necessarily. This is not the edit part. This is just one of the steps to it. You will probably need to make a refresh. I think the refresh goes into this part. But because right now, if you have drop downs, I'll show you real quick. Go into Firefox. So I'm on WDSF, WDF, edit or remove dungeon. And you'll notice, although it's loading this stuff in, loads in the text, it's not loading this in yet. Whenever I refresh on the other hand, though, it now has all that stuff put back in. So you need to build in a refresh system on there. I tried doing it. I need to figure out a new way to do it. Whenever I did it, I put the entire thing into a loop where it would just keep on refreshing, 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 refreshing. So you need to make sure that it just happens once. And you'll see it's console logging some of the stuff that it's asking for. You know, it says, has the URL right here, console log the URL, then it says it's split. Then it actually console logs, oops, sorry about that. Actually console logs your item that you're putting in. Right here you have it again. And then it's just kind of going in, you know, it says you have your ID and your rev, and it's just going through that stuff right there. Alrighty. Hopefully you guys are still with me. Now we're going to scroll down to here, where it actually says update dungeon.onClick, and this is just saying whenever, you know, whenever I click the update dungeon button, it will fire this function. So remember, this is to load it. Yeah. This is to actually utilize it. Oh, and you have that whole little thingy right there. So you want to have event prevent default, and that is just a thing so that you can have it whenever whenever you want it to do the change page, it'll actually work. And the console log is just stating, you know, it has fired var update dunge, you know, update dungeon. This is just once again passing. This is for scope right here. These two things. This is to pass your ID and rev into the function so that it can actually utilize it. This is just more console logs, as you can see, just saying, you know, this is the old dungeon, this is the ID and the rev of the new stuff, and then this is the new dungeon right here. And then right here, you're just having it grab the values for it all. You have, you know, the update dungeon. You've done this stuff right here before, so I don't need to really explain that. Right here, it's saving it to CouchDB again. Update dungeon, so it's taking that object, saving it in. Success, if it happens, you know, out with the old, in with the new, it says. Data, console.log status, and then mobile change page index.html. So I'll show you that real quick. I'm running out of time. So I want this to now be test dungeon. Yeah, there we go. I'm going to change it to being a short, 1 to 5, squire, and testing 1, 2, 3. Okay, so update dungeon, it's going to queue that. You're going to see down here it says out with the old, in with the new. Also has old dungeon, and that's not posting it, so you don't really need that. And then it has this, and then it has new dungeon. That object is probably due to a problem with scope on what I try to put there. It's not crucial, but so out with the old and with the new, says the new stuff. And now if I go in dungeon, if it loads dungeon, view dungeons, it now says test dungeon. So it successfully updated everything. Due to time, I'm going to make a 4th and final video of delete. I hope this helped your understanding. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me, and I'll do my best to explain them. Have a good one. Bye.